Hello, beautiful people. Today is 5th of April, and welcome to today's newspaper discussion. Guys, in the recent times, if you have not heard the word cordon sanitaire, you might be living under a rock. This word was used by B.R. Ambedkar in his book The Untouchables. Guys, cordon sanitaire, it means keeping certain people into barbed wire or an enclosure because these people are carrying a disease and there are fears that that disease might be coming to the healthy population. B.R. Ambedkar says that cordon sanitaire had always been used into India as a principle of class segregation, where Dalits are often assumed that they are impure categories and they should be kept away from the pure classes. Now, this word is coming back into the pandemic of COVID 19 because around the world, countries are cutting a particular section of society from the mainstream society. For example, China cut Wuhan out of its country and the people were treated as undesirable. The same thing is happening with the migrant workers who are reaching back their home because the moment they are reaching, they are not being accepted by their villages. They are not being treated well by their society. Now, the question we should ask, in the times of COVID 19, though social distancing is desirable, but into the divided society of India, will social distancing might lead to other kind of class segregation as India had seen it in its past? So please give a thought, and this thinking line can be important for your GS paper number 1, social issues, as well as for your essay. Now let's begin with today's discussion. Guys, today is Sunday, and as on Sunday, there are no editorial into the Hindu newspaper. So, we are starting a different type of approach. Here, I will be taking the entire Hindu newspaper and will be discussing the news items. Please tell me in comment as if you are comfortable into the earlier approach or into the this approach. So, let's start with today's discussion. Guys, on the first page of the Hindu newspaper, we will see three items. First, talks about the demographic profile of COVID 19 patients. Second, talks about the concerns of oncologist, that is cancer specialist, amid coronavirus. And third, talks as how data collection is being impacted due to non-operationality of airplanes. First of all, guys, you don't need to mug up data for COVID for your UPSC exam. Here, we will see a particular trend. First of all, around the world, it has been said that the people who are elderly are more vulnerable to COVID 19, but in India, it is not the case. We can see that the large number of people who have been infected fall in the age group of 21 to 40 years of age, and 42% of all the patients are into this particular age group. However, when we see the data from US, in the same age group, 29% of all the patients lie. So, more of younger people in India are getting infected by the COVID 19. However, when we see the data for people who are in 60 plus age, they are less impacted by the COVID 19 and their data stands to be around only 17%. Moreover, at the same time, Health Ministry had said that the people who had died due to disease are majorly the elderly ones and had other health complications also. Now, guys, the more important thing is that ICMR has recommended rapid antibody based blood test to see large number of patients. Now, we'll understand this thing. It can be important for your UPSC prelims. Now, friends, there are two type of tests for COVID 19. One is called as the RT-PCR test and the other antibody test we'll see. Now, first of all, these RT-PCR tests, they are called as real-time reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction test. Please pay attention because it can be usable for your mains as well. What happens here? Now, earlier I had told you that coronavirus, that is SARS-CoV-2, has RNA structure. Its genetic structure is RNA. Now, this will be converted into DNA, and this process is called as reverse transcription. You are going up from RNA to DNA. Now, guys, what happens? We use a particular element here which are called as primers. Now, these primers, they are specific DNA enzymes. Now, the particular strand of a primer, it will attach itself to a particular portion into RNA. For example, this will attach here. Okay. Now, this entire primer will then be elongated. Okay, and what we will get a structure like this. So this RNA has been converted into cDNA. Now after this, the next step is known as denaturation. Here, we will again split the double strands and we will take one strand which will again be attached with a primer and again it will be elongated. So we will get one more structure. This process will be repeated several times and meanwhile we will get millions and billions of copies of this cDNA. And why we are getting this millions and billions of copies? To study in more detailed and to get a double assertion that the structure is exactly coronavirus or not, because when the sample size will be smaller, such kind of studies cannot be done. Now friends, for this thing, samples are taken on swab from the area of your nose and from the area of your throat. After this, the next type of test, they are called as antibody test. Now they are also called as a serological test. By the way, any test which is taking a serum or fluid from your body is called as serological test. But when we talk about serological, we primarily mean a blood test. Now it works on a simple function, that is the blood sample will be taken and that blood sample will be studied under a microscope and it will be seen that the blood is having antibody or not. Now we know this thing that whenever an antigen or a disease impacts us, our body makes antibodies. If they are there, so yes, the virus had infected a person. Now there is a problem into this antibody test. It can only tell you that whether the antibody is there or not, but it doesn't tell you whether a person is right now infected or not. Whereas on the other hand, RT-PCR test can tell you that right now whether the virus is present into the body or not. But as China has done, when we take the antiviral body test along with the symptoms, we can make a chart that who are the probable patient and then we can treat them into the RT-PCR. So it is a kind of a complementary practice. Now recently FDA, Food and Drug Administration, has given an approval to a firm, that is Cellex, to make antibody test which can deliver result in 15 to 20 minutes. Moreover guys, with respect to antibody test where you are checking the blood and seeing the presence of antibody, various new technologies are also coming and that is a paper based antibody test. Here what happens, these tests are similar to pregnancy test where there is a paper strip which is encased into a plastic case and you will put a sample and it can give you the instant results. Now guys, under these paper based tests which are subset under antiviral test, lateral flow technology is used. And guys, the same technology has been used for the testing of Ebola, dengue fever, Zika. Now guys, these paper strips will have three parts. First will be the sample pad, other will be the conjugate pad, and the third will be the antibody lining. On the first sample pad, analyte or a sample of blood will be put. Now in the second part, that is conjugate pad, there will be certain elements, for example gold nanoparticles. Now these gold nanoparticles will be lined with an antibody. Because they are lined with antibody, they will attached with an antigen which will be there into your blood, and their primary purpose is to give the color. Now when they are mixed, the entire solution will flow and gradually it will reach the third section, that is lining with the antibodies. The moment it will come here, the antigen which are there into the sample, they will bind here at this particular place, and because earlier gold have been mixed with it, a particular color will come here, a red color line will form here, and by this particular thing we can know whether the antigen or the virus has been there into the blood. Now in India, CSIR, that is Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, is working as how these paper based tests can be made, because they will be relatively cheaper and can in large quantity they could be manufactured. Guys, CSIR, it is a body which is works under the government of India. It is funded by Ministry of Science but works as an autonomous body under Societies Registration Act 1860. Please remember it. Now we'll move to the next article. Second news item is pandemic drives oncologists to tweak cancer treatments. Guys, recently a report was published into a medical journal known as Lancet Oncology. It has asked doctors to tweak or change the treatment of cancer patients. Now guys, a dilemma has been developed. Should we give priority to cancer treatment or should we give priority to the treatment of COVID-19? Guys, What is cancer? It is an unregulated growth of cells. And in order to control this unregulated growth or abnormal growth, cells are to be killed. And in chemotherapy, these cells are targeted, and many times healthy cells or much more number of cells are also killed. Due to, guys, what happens, blood count reduces, and often patients are required to be given an extra blood platelet transfusion. Now, when the blood platelets will go down, blood count will go down, its direct impact will be on immunity. The immune system will also become weak. Now, guys, as COVID-19 is a viral infection, only your immune system can fight that viral infection. Therefore, you need to have a stronger immunity. But if we go for the cancer treatment, immunity had to go down. So a trade-off needs to be made, as whether cancer should now be focused more or COVID-19 should be kept into mind. So therefore, now the surgeries, the chemotherapies and the treatments, they have been made less aggressive and they are being postponed, so that a person who has been given treatment, he may not become susceptible to the corona. And guys, in this respect, insights have also been given from China. So this was all about this article, and now we'll move to next article. Now friends, as per IMD, halting of airplanes is posing an obstacle into the weather data, which could be problematic for India if for long-term lockdown is continued. Now guys, IMD happens to be a very old agency which is collecting data for weather since 1875 and works under Ministry of Earth Sciences. It is headquartered in Delhi, and with respect to data collection, IMD particularly works on two models. Here, the first model is workhouse model. It has two components. One is the historical data. As IMD is having a data of 145 years, the trends are derived from that data. Secondly, IMD has installed a lot of floating devices into the oceans. These floating devices check the surface water, and that surface water temperature is relayed to the satellites. On that particular basis, satellites transmit the data to IMD, and it makes a analysis whether the upcoming year will be El Nino year or will be La Nina year. And on that basis, the forecast for the monsoons are made. So guys, on the workhouse model, we see what will be the rains for upcoming year, and this data is very much important because India is primarily an agrarian country. Second model is a dynamic model. Now in this model, airplanes relay real-time information to IMD with respect to wind speed, wind temperature, frontal formation, cloud subsurface temperature, etc. And then that information is fed on supercomputers and a trend is made. And on that basis, IMD gives a forecast for upcoming 2 to 3 days as what will be the weather conditions. Now guys, as airplanes had stopped flying, so this dynamic model is not able to function, due to which real-time broadcasts are being impacted. Though forecast for the monsoons will not be impacted because the floating devices are working and they are relaying their information to satellites. Moreover, the historical data is still there. But here, due to impact, if the lockdown will continue for a longer period of time, various crucial informations such as upcoming weather conditions, storm conditions, cyclone conditions will also be impacted. Though friends, for the time being, IMD is doing certain mathematical calculations and mathematical corrections into the workhouse model, due to which they are deriving the weather information, and secondly, by the limited staff, they are still trying to get some real-time information, and on whose basis the information will be provided, but still it is limited. Guys, moreover, with respect to dynamic model, India's forecasts are still not that much precise, but for that, IMD is working on its technology upgradation. Guys, this was all about this article. Now we'll move to the next article. Guys, next important news item is on page number 5. Guys, Kerala police had shown an act of compassion where they have fed the Heroine Birds. Guys, apart from ecology, this particular thing can also be used as an example of compassion and empathy in your GS paper number 4 ethics. Now, guys, first of all, herons, they are long-legged birds which are found in freshwater as well as a coastal ecosystem. Now, they have a large number of subspecies, and some of their subspecies are also called as egrets and bitterns. And primarily, they feed on fishes. Now recently, a large number of blue herons, they have died, and when the autopsy was conducted, it was known that they had died because of starvation. Now friends, in the coastal region and on the harbor, fish market is conducted, and whatever waste or excess is left over there, these birds feed on that particular food and they keep alive. Now, because lockdown has been imposed, these markets have been banned, due to which these birds are dying. And guys, for mapping, just keep in mind two locations. One is Shakti Kulangra and other is Nindakara. These are two sites which are famous for birds, particularly the herons. Now guys, according to Asian Waterbird Census, fishes are the primary source of food for these birds, and if lockdown will continue, these birds might face even more starvation if intervention is not made. Now friends, some important information for your prelims. Asian Waterbird Census has been started since 1987, and it is a part of a global initiative, that is International Waterbird Census. So guys, it is a citizen-centric science program which supports the management and conservation of water bird species as well as for the wetland. So please keep in mind that it works for two things. Now, Asian Waterbird Census is the part of International Waterbird Census, and it is the largest such census, and it is organized by Wetland International. Now friends, with respect to Wetland International, it is an independent not-for-profit global organization which is supported by their independent members as well as NGOs. So it is not under UN. Keep this thing into your mind. And International Waterbird Census is a program which operates in more than 140 countries. Now, with respect to India, this Asian Waterbird Census is conducted annually in the month of January. The data is collected and this data is shared with international organizations such as Wetland International, IUCN, and Ramsar Convention. So please keep this thing into your mind. Moreover, guys, it is a step towards the sustainable management of life below water and above water. Now, when it comes to India, in India, the coordinating agency is Bombay Natural History Society. The question has been asked on this organization. Now, it is an NGO which is engaged in conservation and biodiversity research. And guys, one more important thing, it is a partner of Bird Life International. And guys, some important information with respect to Asian Waterbird Census 2019. It has said that Kanjali wetland, which is there into the state of Punjab, had seen the less number of migratory birds. Only two species of bird have been witnessed there. One is Gadwal and the other is Coot. So Gadwal is least concern with respect to IUCN, and Coot is also least concern with respect to IUCN status. Moreover, a bar-headed goose has also been spotted in the wetlands of Karingali, Pucha, that is in Kerala. Now guys, they are primarily from central China as well as Mongolia, and from there they migrate to India and are least concern in the IUCN list. It was all about this article. Please remember all this information. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, there's a news item on page number 6 that Congress seeks more aid to states. Now these kind of political news are not needed, but here we will see as how center should help the states in order to avert the crisis and the financial constraints. Now guys, first of all, central government should clear all the GST dues which are to be given to the state government so that they could meet the financial constraint which are right now plaguing. According to this particular article, nearly 48,000 rupees dues have to be made. So actually it is a very substantial amount. Secondly, central government can give sovereign guarantee on the behalf of the states, on which basis the state government can raise money. Now guys, whenever there will be a economic recession, then we need to pump more money into an economy so that economy can come out of that sand. It is called as fiscal stimulus, because when more money will be pumped, that money will be deriving more consumption expenditure, that money will be deriving more demand, due to which economy could be kick-started. Therefore, huge expenditure is to be made by the state, and in this circumstances, if central government give their sovereign guarantee for those loans, then state government can get cheap credit. Now, when the credit will be taken, obviously the debt of the state government will rise. Now there is a problem. We have a particular act, that is FRBM, which stands for Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. Now this particular act puts an obligation on the center as well as state governments to limit their debt as well as to limit their fiscal deficit, and therefore there is a problem in taking the credit. But still there is a way. There is a section 4 in FRBM Act, section 4 subclause 2, under which a provision of escape clause has been provided, and this provision says that if there is a problem such as a national calamity, economic recession, or any other such type of crisis, then the government can resort to this particular clause whereby they can breach their targets by 0.5%. So now this is actually a time of a calamity, and at this time central government should give them a respite, and escape clause should be kicked in, by which a lot of financial miseries could be stalled. So guys, these are some of the important measures at the federal level which could be taken. Please keep this thing into your mind for your GS mains examination. However, there is nothing there into this article as such, so we'll move to the next article. Guys, next news item is on the page number 7, and I had clubbed one more article with it, that is on the science and tech page. Now guys, first of all, when we are talking about coronavirus, there could be two dimensions to this particular thing. First is biology, science, or technology related. Now here you need to know what exactly is SARS-CoV-2, which is nothing but the coronavirus. Second, what is the biological mechanism by which it enters into the body and what it does after entering your body, and then what should be the vaccination or what can be the cure of this coronavirus. So please restrict up to this particular thing. When you are going on to the next dimension, then please see briefly what has been impact on society, what has been impact on economy as well as polity, and what are the measures which could be taken. Now on both of this particular dimension, I had covered ample number of editorials on this thing, and you don't need to go anywhere apart from that particular thing. Guys, one more thing, I highly recommend that please go and see the editorial of 29th of March. It is the first topic only. There I had covered very much extensively with respect to biological aspect of coronavirus. Please see there. It will be giving you a very better understanding. Now we'll start with the article. Friends, both the article are talking about the possible treatment for COVID-19. Now friends, SARS-CoV-2, first of all, has one RNA. Then there is an envelope which protects this RNA, and then the third you will see a kind of a spike like structure, and these spikes are made up of a very particular protein that is called as glycoprotein. Now these glycoprotein attaches themselves to the receptors which are present on the cell in our body. So in our body, our cell has a particular receptor which are called as ACE2 receptor. Now it will click here just like a lock and a key, and then what will happen, this RNA material will go into our cell, and our cell will start making copy of this RNA. And when it is making a copy of this RNA, it is making nothing but it is making several copies of this particular virus only. When this cell will be making ample number of the copies, eventually the cell will explode, and a lot of virus actually they will come out of the cell, and then they will bind to other cell, they will go there, they will replicate, it will burst, and millions and billions of copies will be made in a very short period of time. Okay, now guys, there are two problems into this virus. One problem is these spikes, because from here the problem starts. If they will not be able to stick here, there will be no problem. Second problem is that into this RNA there is a particular code which gives a command when it goes into the cell, that you make a particular kind of enzyme which helps into replication. So guys, if there is no replication, or if there are no spikes, then the coronavirus will not be that much harmful to us. Okay, so now world over scientists, they are making developments on two fronts. One, they are trying to make medicines by which we can treat the disease once a person has been infected. Secondly, they are trying to make such kind of thing where either they can change the biology of virus to such an extent that it become harmless to the human beings. Now, guys, when we talk about this article, first of all, I would like to make you cautious. This article has been written in very high scientific language. If you are not from the science background, please don't spend too much of time on this article. Whatever we will discuss here, that will be much more than your UPSC exam. Okay, so please stick to it. I had taken help from a lot of journals in this particular regard, and I will try to give you a simplistic version of this thing. Now, friends, there is something called as a 3CL protease. Now, 3CL protease stands for 3 chymotrypsin like cysteine protease enzyme. Don't get fearful of it. Just remember 3CL, it will make the trick. Now, guys, in coronavirus, an enzyme is responsible for the replication. Now, that particular enzyme is called as a 3CL protease. Now, protease is any enzyme which catalyzes or fastens the process of proteolysis. Now, proteolysis में क्या होता है? A protein will break down into simpler amino acids, and by that basis, even more protein will be made. So basically, the replication will take place here. Now, if this 3CL could be targeted, then we could stop this replication. Now, what had happened? The innovation lab of TCS, in association with CSIR, had made a particular kind of discovery that this particular phenomena is going on. Now they had even identified drug molecules which can target only this 3CL enzyme, and if it will be targeted, the replication will not take place, and the coronavirus will not be actually that much harmful to the human beings. Now, guys, our target is to inhibit the growth of 3CL enzyme. Now, there are a lot of drugs which could be used to inhibit that particular 3CL enzyme. Now, guys, when a drug molecule is administered into the body, it leaves a certain impact on the physiology of that particular body, and that impact is recorded into the neural network of our brain. Okay, now we under this particular project there are 1.6 million molecules which is leaving some impact on your neural network. Now, by the help of artificial intelligence, we will identify those particular molecules which can have an impact on inhibiting the particular enzyme, and particularly the 3CL enzyme. So from this 1.6 million molecules, by the help of artificial intelligence, we had narrowed down our search to 31 enzymes which could inhibit the growth of this particular enzyme. After this, guys, these molecules are being filtered out to work into a particular medicine, and a particular candidate has been identified which is very much similar to aurantimide, which is a naturally occurring antiviral compound. So by this particular kind of artificial intelligence, we could figure out the molecules. Those molecules can be filtered out into a medicine, and that medicine could target the virus, and such a way the vaccination could be, cure could be found. Guys, after this particular thing, these molecules will be synthesized into the medicines, then the clinical trials will take place, and if all goes well, the medicine will be identified. Now, guys, in this particular article, again, scientists, they are searching for a drug. Now, as I told you that these spikes on the coronavirus are very much responsible. So there, here in this article, they are saying that they are identifying the compounds which can inhibit this particular protein, so that coronavirus will become ineffective in producing these spikes, and then it will not be able to attach. In this particular direction, various compounds are being found out. Nearly right now, scientists, they are working on 69 existing drugs as how they can be effective on coronavirus in controlling these spikes or other kind of internal mechanics. Now, guys, these 69 drugs are effective for other things, and it is not possible that we remember these 69 drugs, but please remember 4 drugs which are the part of WHO's solidarity mission. Now, there are 4 drugs. First is remdesivir. Now, this particular drug is used to treat Ebola virus, and it also inhibits the replication. Second is chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine. These 2 drugs are used to treat malaria. The third is ritonavir and lopinavir. These drugs are used to treat HIV. Now, these 2 drugs could be used with interferon beta, or interferon beta individually can also be used. So these are the drugs which are sanctioned under WHO's Solidarity Project. So those 69 drugs are again is nothing but the repurposing, that is using the same drug for other things. So please remember at least four. So guys, now we'll move to the next article. Guys, next news item has been taken from the Hindu page of the newspaper and from the FAQ section of the Hindu. Now, this particular issue explores the falling crude oil prices and recent meet that was to be held between OPEC plus. Now, guys, recently a kind of an oil price war is going on, and the crude oil prices had went as low as $21 per barrel. Now, it is a part of a bigger crisis, that is a broken cooperation between the OPEC plus members. Now, first of all, OPEC stand for Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Now, guys, this is an international organization which also works as a cartel. Now, cartel is used for any entity which is artificially controlling the demand and thereby artificially keeps the prices at a particular level. Now, guys, OPEC was founded in 1960 in Baghdad, and right now it is headquartered in Vienna. Now, guys, there are 13 member countries of OPEC, and there are two countries particularly, that is Ecuador. Ecuador had left the OPEC in January 2020, and the other is Qatar, which has left the OPEC in 2019. So they had just left the OPEC. So please keep the members into mind. Question might come. Moreover, apart from OPEC, there is one extension that is called as OPEC plus. So it includes the countries such as Russia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Mexico, Oman, South Sudan, and Sudan. Okay, the Russia is more important one. Now, guys, as I had told you that OPEC is actually a type of a cartel and keeps the prices in check. So they respond whenever the supply goes down, they also reduces their demand. Now, around 2013, a kind of crisis began between the OPEC member and Russia, and both were increasing their production. So, therefore, in 2014, an agreement was signed as a part of OPEC Plus that both Russia as well as other important country, that is Saudi Arabia, they will keep the supplies in the check. Therefore, as a part of that agreement, recently Saudi Arabia asked Russia that due to global slowdown and coronavirus, we should reduce our supplies because the demand is going down. But here, Russia refused. And now Saudi Arabia was very much angry because of Russia's behavior. And Saudi Arabia, just out of ego, said that earlier we were producing 9 million barrels, but now we will also produce 12 million barrels. So, guys, what right now is happening? Russia is not decreasing their supply. Saudi Arabia increased their supply too much, and at the same time, there is no demand. Therefore, the prices of oil are going too much down. Moreover, guys, even the Saudi Arabia is saying that we are giving a permission to Aramco, who is a oil giant of Saudi Arabia, to offer deep discounts to the Asian market so that Russia will face a kind of an economic problem. But the same thing is also being done by the Russia. Now a question come, why it is being done? Now Russia is not abiding by this particular protocol because it wants to deny the market to America, which depends on higher oil prices in order to be functional. Secondly, Russia is also angry because USA had imposed sanctions on its oil giant, that is Rosneft, due to which Russia had faced monetary as well as ego clashes. At the same time, Russia also wants to impact Saudi Arabia because Russia can discover oil at the lower prices also, but Saudi Arabia can't do that thing. Now, Saudi Arabia is also doing this thing partly in order to take revenge from Russia, and partly in order to take revenge from US, because US had been very critical of Saudi Arabia's policy. And at the same time, USA is the most keen to bring agreement between the OPEC plus, because if this thing will continue, then America will be facing a crisis on oil price discovery. Guys, in all this kind of thing, India might be having certain advantages. First advantage is that India needs meets 80% of its oil demand from the import, And if these prices will go down, India's current account deficit will go down and India's forex reserve will also rise. Moreover, during this time, due to slowdown, the tax collection of the government is very much low. Therefore, by imposing tax duty, higher tax duties, government will able to get more of a revenue. Guys, it can also mean lower prices for the customers, but it might not be the case because government had faced a lot of losses into the NPA crisis and other things. Therefore, government has substantially increased the excise duty on the petroleum, due to which the cost might not be translated to the consumers. So guys, this was all about this particular article. If you want to go further into the details about oil shale boom and all these kind of things, you can refer to the editorial of 2nd of April. You will get better understanding on this thing. So guys, this was all about today's articles. If you like our video, then please do share and subscribe to our channel, and you can also tell us what type of videos you like more. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.